very many young people in our country, the majority, this 70% of the population. Lakini, what you guys are doing now, that is in terms of a different way of organizing. Yes, there was the street organizing, and one is not saying that, Article 37 of the Constitution cannot be recourse to again, because that's a constitutional right. People have the right to demonstrate, to picket, to do all those things for issues that they believe are important. But, change comes when enough people are sensitized so that they can see the need for it and they can participate in making it to happen. Even countries like Bangladesh, like whichever countries where people have en masse, come up and said we want change. It is because there was, lots of tons of organization undertaken so that they couldn't be resisted. So what I would tell us, what I would tell, the young people of my country, as somebody who has been in the 90s in these struggles, in the 90s, there wasn't the kind of civic education or political education or people's education that you guys are doing, so that, these issues went to the very, very, very grassroots. Because Moi was very brutal and he prevented us, from doing civic education. I remember we would go places, the police would be there, and we would just sit the whole day until we came back to Nairobi without, talking to police people, sometimes sharing bread and Fanta with police people who are guarding us so that we can't go and those days it wasn't inject. We didn't have that word, but in your language, inject among the people. So it was in the churches that, sometimes we were allowed to do so and so on. So I think these strategies that you're doing, and even, seeking vote power, the street power, or the mixture of all these things, it's innovation. And it is something that one must encourage so that you build the momentum instead of saying, okay, now, we are going to find a bypass which is not necessarily supported by the mass of the people. So I think one can simply say organize, so that the change becomes kind of organic and it is real and it is sustainable. But I like the analysis of Ras in terms of the issues, really knowing what the issues are, simplifying those messages when you do now the civic education or political education, simplifying the message. Like if it is those things of ISO agriculture, ISO Sharias agriculture, or somebody simplifies them, what they exactly mean, like even that airport thing, how the relative was told in simple ways, the things that touch their lives, so that now it's civic education on, the health thing. If account is not working properly, things that are very real, and that is what makes the change to happen, what the corruption is doing and all that kind of stuff. NSSF, there used to be a lot of money in NSSF, the collections of people, and it was actually used to buy land of people, and it was major scandals of corruption around NSCF. And up to now, that is why NSSF has never kind of recovered, and people keep on paying. And when it comes to now the social security that is guaranteed even in the Constitution, people take very long to get paid, and they get paid, peanuts. So again, those are the things that need to bring out and things that will need to be corrected, because as you are doing this work of injecting, you are building a manifesto of the correct things that will be done. And I like the fact that young people are saying we want to do things according to the constitution, we want to do things according to the law, because the demonstrations are according to the law.
Oh, we lost Professor. Too bad. Professor, kindly check on your network and please be back. I'm so eager to get my answer. I'm so eager. And I see that the SHA chief thing has been compromised. As you can see, I've put something on the Jumbotron. How can you register? Then after 2 days, you've not added any dependents. Then after 2 days, you got a kid as a dependent. This thing is really corrupt system. Like, for Christ's sake, corruption is everywhere. Even sleeping nowadays, if you need sleep, you need corruption to acquire it. For Christ's sake. Mweru.
I had a question for the doctor when he comes back. So I'm just going to wait until he comes back and then I'll ask a question. Because, I mean, we all know anything that this government initiates is just a route to steal money. There's nothing that comes or that is introduced by any Kenyan government that is of any genuine interest for the public. So anytime you see something coming up, just know it's another route to steal. There's no way that any can going to benefit. So, I mean, I'm just going to wait for him to come back because I had a quick question for him. But in the meantime, we do have some speakers that have been here for quite a while. So I'll have Mwangi speak and then Kazi.
Thank you, Mweru. And thank you, everyone. I hope you guys can hear me.
Yes, we hear you. Proceed, please.
All right. I think I have for so long been following these spaces for a number of months now. I've never gotten a chance to speak. So I am happy that I was patient enough and you guys have accorded me the mic. I will be very brief, but I also I am angry enough, but I don't want to go overboard. I feel right now we should balance between anger and trying to do some solutions and spend much of our energies on what is solution oriented. And so as a young man, I happen to be an agronomist and I deal with farmers. I come from Nyeri, but I have lived with farmers in Meru for around 8 years now. And one of the things that I have learned from last year when there was an issue, 2023, when there was an issue in ITEAMS about avocado farmers, and of course even milk, because most of the cooperatives really suffered in paying the farmers because they had to use ITEAMS for them to be able to transact. So avocado farmers, they had problems selling their avocados from last year. And of course, this year they have been able to sell, but it was also with a lot of challenges. And now the issue with the farmers has persisted up until now, where we have very oppressive and punitive bills. Of course, I know I have tried to chat KOT and others to see whether I can be able to get the bills, because personally I directly deal with many groups of farmers. In a week, I see more than 600 farmers or so. So, and with all that, I have been doing a lot of civic education, including today being on a Saturday. I was still having a few people that I was engaging. And I would say this, I feel if you have knowledge, it is power. if you have a voice that you can be able to communicate, because I believe personally as David, I am a leader. So what I am doing is I am teaching farmers about those punitive bills, like the Horticultural Crop Authority Bill, and the effect that it has on our farmers. And I can tell you the ground in Meru, because I traverse several constituencies, the ground in Meru is really ripe for change. Actually, most of the elderly people that I have met in those groups, because they happen to be the ones that we meet in the groups, they will tell you that, young man, you are telling us that, show us the person who we should elect as our member of parliament, because at the end of the discussion in the closure, the person who is responsible for making bills that are going to be favorable to the farmer is the member of parliament. And as an agronomist, I feel our parliament, for the many years, it has been misrepresented. We elect lawyers, we elect doctors, we elect teachers, we elect other professionals, but we don't elect representatives of farmers. And in as much as we keep on arguing that agriculture is the backbone of our economy, it is one of the fields that is the most poorly managed. It is one of the fields the Ministry of Agriculture has the most illiterate people. When we go for field days or when we meet farmers, you hear a presentation from a very senior officer from the Ministry of Agriculture. You wonder whether they did agriculture in the 1970s. You hear the kind of nutrition they teach the farmers. I want to tell us it is sad. You hear they still encourage people to harvest 3 bags per acre for beans, whereas technology has evolved. Other better practices, agricultural practices have come up. A farmer can be able to get up to 13 or even 16 bags per acre for beans or something like that. But the person who happens to be in charge of agriculture, they are least informed about agriculture. The practices they do and teach our farmers, they are practices that will never liberate our farmers. And so therefore, personally, as an agronomist, I strongly feel we need young people who are going to go and vie for positions for parliament. Today, our parliament is having serious problems. And why we have very serious problems is because the parliament has been taken away by the executive. I ask for a case. What would happen to this country if Ruto happens to win again in 2027? I strongly feel this country would go down. But I feel there is a way. If he actually happened to win and we had new faces in parliament, that parliament can impeach him. That parliament can fail to adhere to his wishes. And so I strongly feel, in as much as young people we keep on saying that he can steal election, he cannot steal for every member of parliament. So can everybody rise up? If you feel you have the muscle enough, go and vie to be a member of parliament. We need new faces in parliament. And you guys don't believe it, I will be in the list of people who come from different areas elected as a member of parliament in Meru. I will not disclose where, but I have been asked by many groups that I go, David, you are telling us about the water bill for the 2023 that has oppressed farmers and has made them to be asked to put meters by Warma and Rua. So they have to be paying water per cubic meter. That's a bill that was passed last year, and it is being implemented. Circulars have been issued to the water project group leaders to have the members, waters or projects that they started by their own initiative, they are now being charged. Yet, we had members of parliament who know most of the farmers use that water for consumption and also for irrigation. So, if a farmer is doing 2 acres of probably potatoes, and they are being charged water per cubic meter, and we know how the market prices normally fluctuates, what happens to that farmer? Who cares about them? Talk about the Horticultural Crop and Authority Bill that, according to my total summation, a farmer is supposed to pay around 97,000 for you to get the licensing, not counting the bribing for you to be allowed to do that if that bill by Sabina Chege happens to pass. And as I made all these presentations to the farmers, most of them asked me, who is supposed to help us? Why is Ruto pushing us? And I tell them, the problem is even not Ruto. The problem is your member of parliament. When that bill was being proposed, he was supposed to rise up and say, this is going to oppress my people. But because those people do not care about farming, they don't do farming. They are like Medeka, who I happen to have passed by his shamba. And let me tell you, a whole minister of agriculture who has the machinery, who has the agrochemicals, he controls everything, including the fertilizer, is harvesting 4 tons of onion per acre. While somebody like me, David, who is harvesting 20 or so tons of onion per acre, who is supposed to be the CS for agriculture, a 4-tonner CS or a person who is not known but is harvesting 20 tons per acre, who is supposed to be the CS for agriculture. So I strongly feel we are wrongly represented in parliament. And the young people, my fellow young people, I want to beseech you. You do not know me by face, but I want to beseech you. It is up to you to feel the burden. You go back to the community. It doesn't matter. People today are not caring. In Meru, people don't care whether I come from Kikuyu or wherever. They are asking me, David, if that is the agenda and you are going to go and cause to have us to have an amendment bill against the water bill, against these other punitive bills in agriculture that are being raised, if we can be able to reverse this process, then come, we will vote for you. And when that member of parliament tries to come with money, we will ask him where was he when the water bill was being passed. And so, my fellow young people, I beseech you, rise up, come out of comfort, come out of fear, and we are the leaders of today. The other thing I want to say is about the medical thing. My spouse happens to work in a hospital, so I know a few things about the hospital and this SHA thing that is being propagated. And she tells me, because she is in charge of probably the patients who she deals mainly with patients with hypertension. 17 out of 200, over 270 patients who go to that hospital are the only ones who are registered in the old NHIF. So the other people who she attends to do not have that registration for NHIF. Yet when they go to that hospital, she attends to them and they get services. Today, they are being told that if somebody has not registered with 300 shillings, is denied access to a medical practitioner. Is that really justice? Have this country sunk so low to a point of denying people medical access, even at their point of need? What will happen to that patient who goes as a result of accident and they have not registered for SHA? What will happen to them? Because they have been given iPads and whatever to register them. So what happens to such a person?